I want to talk to you out there specifically on why you should invest in your growth as a nurse. So, investing in your growth, meaning in your career growth and also in your business growth, and also to build your personal brand as a nurse. So, we're going to get into these topics in just a short while. But for those who don't know me, my name is Farah, Dr. Laurent. I help new nurses land their dream job in less than 90 days in California and New York, helping them land specialty positions making up to 175K a year. And I've been doing this for the last 4 years, helped over 100 clients get into these specialty positions, such as the ICU, the emergency department, labor, and delivery. Okay. What else do? I help aspiring nurse entrepreneurs get clarity so that they can start their business and also grow their business to attract more clients through building a personal brand and marketing and creating social media content. So I wanted to just jump on because I haven't been live for quite some time. Been on a little vacation, and then also am working on multiple different projects. So I'll update you on those projects at the end of this live. But I wanted to really dive into the importance of investing in yourself. And I'm going to share some of my personal stories of growth and what investing in my business and in my career did for me. So if you happen to be watching, please drop any comments or questions in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them as we go through this live. And of course, if you happen to be watching the replay, you can also drop any questions that you may have. All right, so let's get into it. So, what does investing really mean, right? So, when we think of investing in yourself, we typically think professional development. We typically think getting certifications or going back to school to get a degree, right? So, yes, that also counts, right? So, you can get ACLS, you can get certifications such as certified emergency nurse, those types, or in leadership or in education. So, I myself had 6 board certifications that I invested in, which was emergency medicine board certifications, leadership, and education. However, the biggest personal brand investment that I really made was investing in something as simple as, for example, as photography, right? I started taking some brand photo shoots. So I did a couple brand photo shoots when I was back in New York on the Brooklyn Bridge, literally hired a photographer that I knew. She was really good, out of Queens, New York. And she took some photos of me on one of my favorite spots, which is the Brooklyn Bridge. So I use those photos quite a bit on my personal website, which is nursefair.com, when I started my business. And then I also use those same photos to create content on social media, which I still till this day use those photos. And I know some of you out there that maybe want to start a business, or maybe you're new to business and you're like, oh, I don't know if this is really worth the investment of getting a photographer or a videographer to take pictures of me. You know, now there's all these tools like AI and things like that. However, I still truly believe in, old school photography, because I think some of the AI pictures look fake. They don't look that great. And for those of you, let's say, that are starting a business, maybe you want to get into consulting, coaching, or maybe you want to be a speaker, right? It is imperative that you start getting some video of yourself in action, actually speaking at events or facilitating workshops, and also getting really high quality photos as you're speaking. So that is what I'm talking about when I say investing in your growth and in your personal brand. So that's one way to start establishing yourself as a industry leader by growing your personal brand, getting speaking engagements, and really showing up by having this social proof. So when you finish the event, you can later post photos, professional photos of you speaking at these workshops, whatever it is, on these panels, so that you can later take those photos, create content with it, and then you can use it for future, right? For bios, right? So I highly suggest that if you are serious about speaking, that you have yourself a short bio about yourself and then a longer version of your bio, so that when someone is inquiring and wants to hire you for some type of speaking engagement, boom, you already have it on hand. You have a bio and you have a professional headshot photo. And sometimes they ask you for like a portrait style, like a long body photo, like your whole body. Okay. So I think it was today that maybe yesterday that I posted a media kit. I've been working on this media kit, been wanting to have it completed for a while. So I hired someone. Shout out to Danielle Jeter. She and her company created this for me, this media kit, press kit. So now when I go on podcasts, I get asked for speaking engagements and whatever else that I do, I can simply send that media kit over. And there are various photos that they can pick from. The bio's already in there. Everything is already in there. And that's an investment that I have made so that I can grow in my business, grow as a speaker, podcaster, whatever, all this type of stuff. Okay. So let's say you currently are a new graduate nurse. A lot of new nurses are taking photography when you graduate. So, like back in the day, I didn't have all those professional photos when I graduated. I wish I did because I love photography. But that's a way to promote yourself and your personal brand on LinkedIn. So, if you're a nursing student currently, check out what these new grads are doing, putting an introductory post together, putting a professional photo of yourself, and basically introduce yourself, talk about why you're interested in nursing or what particular specialty you're interested in, and start creating content as a nursing student. Document your journey, document being a new grad, because this is the way that you can start building your personal brand. Okay, so that again is an easy way to invest, is through photography and videography. The other way that you can start investing in yourself is through coaching. Okay, so I myself am a nurse career coach. Some of you out there might be watching, you're like, what is a nurse career coach? So I started my business as a nurse career coach 4 years ago. What I was doing is I was mentoring a lot of nurses for free, coaching for free, spending hours working on resumes, cover letters, helping nurses develop, recommendation letters, applying to master level programs or doctoral programs. And I was doing all that for free, helping them with career guidance. So it was taking so much of my time, and so many nurses kept coming to me that I said, well, I'm going to turn this into a business, right? So turned it into a business model where basically now I coach new nurses how to land their dream role through career guidance, helping them with clarity to figure out what specialty they should go into, how to interview, all that stuff, helping them with optimizing their LinkedIn profile, um, their interview pitch, how to interview, right? So they literally will text me, message me, they have access to me. So it's really a transformation that they go through with their confidence and mindset. And that's what I do as a nurse career coach. However, in order for me to grow in my business, to learn more about business, I had to do some research and work myself. However, the fastest way for me to get to where I wanted to be in my business is to also invest in myself, invest in my business, and hire other coaches. So I've hired marketing coaches to help me with my marketing, sales, that type of stuff, right? So it is so important because to me, the return on investment, right, the ROI is much greater. However, for some reason, I find that there's a lot of nurses currently now, you know, working in the hospital or in leadership or education that don't want to invest in their professional growth and development unless it's directly related to their job, right? So a lot of nurses think, well, if my job is not paying for my, let's use an example, my certification or my ACLS, I'm not going to get it on my own, right? But that's where a lot of nurses fail to grow because if you're certified, you have all these extra things that you're investing in for your career, you're going to grow a lot faster. So that's one. Number two, if you're doing things such as going to networking events, so I know that can be a little pricey, but you have to be strategic about which events you go to, which conferences you go to. So that's another way to invest in your growth. So I actually started the Nurses Making Money Moves conference just this past March, where it was a conference specifically for nurses interested in growing their personal brand, growing their business, or wanting to transition into business and starting their business. So I personally invested a lot of time and money into this conference, and now it's going to be an annual conference. But the nurses who came to this conference, number one, made a lot of connections, were able to learn so much during that time that they were there. But now they are now doing collaborations outside of the conference. They're doing podcasts, right, for each other. So, like, I've seen many nurses be on each other's podcasts. They're collaborating on different projects and even meeting up in person and developing these relationships. So, this is the importance, like I said, of investing in your personal and professional growth because you never know what the ROI will be. And yes, sometimes you might invest in a program or a course and you're like, oh, this wasn't worth it. However, you always have to see what are you actually putting into it, right? So, like I said, if you have any questions, comments, if you happen to be watching, let me know where you're watching from, what city, what country, any questions or comments that you may have, or maybe you're struggling with growing your personal brand and you're like, you know what, Fair, what is a personal brand, right? So let me break that down quickly. So when I was a nurse, I didn't know, when I first started working, I didn't really know what personal branding was. And I always say that it probably hurt my career in terms of growth because I didn't understand how positioning myself and working on my personal brand, meaning how others perceived and viewed me as a professional, and how to manage that personal brand. So, really, it's not just visually how you look, right? But it's how you present yourself, how you communicate, what values you demonstrate, and you have to be clear on all those things, right? So it's basically, who are you? What do you do? What impact do you want to make? What values do you stand for? And what do you want to be known for out in the world, right? And sometimes you may think that you're putting a certain, I guess, vibe out there, but if people are misinterpreting it, then that means you need to do a better job of managing your personal brand, right? So for me now, as a nurse career coach, as I'm creating content, you know, as a content creator here on LinkedIn and other platforms. You know, I'm known as the nurse career coach who helps new nurses get into these specialty positions, making 100K up to 175K, right? That's what I'm known for now because I've been doing this for the last 4 years, right? My brand is also very bold, energetic, colorful brand, in your face, like because I'm constantly creating content literally every week, right? There aren't very many nurses who are going live, such as I'm doing now. I'm going live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and sometimes also on Instagram, right? Because it takes a lot for someone to show up on video, number one, but to go live as I do, not very many nurses are doing it. So that's why I encourage a lot of nurses who are wanting to build their personal brand to start creating content and start going live. And obviously, even going live, this is an investment. I pay a third party. So shout out to Restream. You know, maybe if if you want to do a brand deal, definitely contact me. I'm gonna have to work on some of those brand deals. But I use Restream and I pay Restream to be able to go live. Again, I'm investing in myself. And to me, going live every week has been instrumental in my growth on LinkedIn and growing my personal brand. So, this is what I mean when I talk about personal branding, because it has a lot to do with visibility as well. Because if people don't see you, they don't know what you're doing, they don't know about you, you're not going to be considered for opportunities. And same goes in your workplace. If you're not showing up to meetings prepared, speaking up, you know, uh, with different ideas, creative plans, you may not be selected for certain projects. You may not get promoted, right? You need to be able to articulate your value and what you bring to the table. And same thing in business. If you are a nurse that wants to start a business, you need to be visible. People need to know what you do. So a lot of the nurse entrepreneurs that I'm currently working with, because that's the other thing that I've started doing, is now started coaching aspiring nurse entrepreneurs who are early phase, not quite sure how to do consulting or how to get into speaking, or maybe they wrote a book, they're not really sure how to promote it, how to market themselves. Maybe they have a podcast, they want to be able to grow that podcast. I'm now starting to work with these nurses who want to start businesses, and I'm helping them with clarity, business basics, how to market, how to promote. And these are things that are not taught in nursing school. I went to a master's program for education, all the way up to a doctoral program, a DNP in organizational leadership. Not once did we talk about any type of marketing or how to promote yourself in your professional career. And for sure, we didn't talk about anything about business related. Nothing. The only thing I think we covered was, some like a little bit of finance, a little bit of economics in my doctoral program. So this is why I'm so passionate about teaching other nurses about business basics, how to communicate with confidence. And even if you are not interested in starting a business or a side hustle, but I don't see why you wouldn't be, because you can monetize right now on anything that you know as a nurse. Many nurses have podcasts, um, consulting actually for free and not even knowing it, and giving away their knowledge and intellectual property for free and not charging for it. So this is why I talk about nurses making money moves, and I wrote a book about it, Nurses Making Money Moves, A Nurse's Guide to Starting a Business. But you need to start looking at yourself as a business, as a brand. If you are a nurse, whether you're a nursing student, a new grad, a leader, an educator, whatever it is that you're doing, you have skills, you have knowledge that people want to pay for. right? There are a lot of companies looking for nurse consultants to come in to strategize with them, and to get their knowledge. So if you're getting called by certain companies and they're like, hey, can we jump on a call? I'd like to ask you a couple questions or whatever the case is. You need to start thinking about, hey, maybe I need to turn this into a consulting business where I actually get paid just to talk to these companies and share my knowledge or whatever the case is, right? So again, back to investing, and starting a business is really not as difficult as you think. You can start an LLC, a limited liability company, literally in about 3 to 4 days if you're somewhere in the United States, right? Every state has different requirements, but you can literally Google it and type in how to start a business, an LLC, in whatever state. You can also go to the Small Business Administration, SBA. They have a ton of information there for you as well. However, like I said, what I do is, instead of having nurses go all over the place, because that's what I did when I first started my business, I'm now coaching one on one so that you don't have to go to 55 sites to really understand, what it is that you should do next. Okay. So that is what I'm talking about, the investment piece. And new nurses come to me and invest in coaching because they're tired of sending in 100 applications and getting rejected. They're not sure how to answer specific behavioral questions or, you know, um, clinical style questions that they're getting asked in interviews. They're nervous. So they come to me for one on one coaching. And over the last 4 years, there's been a lot of nurses who have come to me, and I couldn't take them all on at the same time because I only work with a certain amount of nurses per month, right? I only onboard only a few nurses, and I'm very selective about who I work with. So I've now created an actual course, and it's going to come out very soon, the announcement. So, stay tuned. But I've created a course. Basically, it's called New Nurse to Dream Role, where if you can't access me and work on with me one on one, I now have this course that will walk you through from when you're a nursing student or when you graduate, how to get to your dream role, right? And it's basically like your new nurse era, how to get hired faster and with confidence. Okay, because nursing school doesn't do a good job, I'm sorry to say. Nursing school is focused on basically you passing the NCLEX, but they don't really focus on transition of practice in terms of how to even get your first role, how to promote yourself, all those details. Nursing school doesn't teach you. They don't teach you about personal branding, how to market yourself, how to pitch, how to communicate with confidence. They don't even teach you how to dress for an interview. And if they're telling you to wear black and then telling you, other colors are not professional, don't listen to that. Because in this marketplace, you need to be able to stand out. You need to be confident and bold. And that's why nursing students and new grads invest in my coaching. And you don't even have to listen to me. You can literally go on LinkedIn, look at my recommendations. I think I have like about 70 or more recommendations of past nursing students and new grads that have worked with me, that have landed their dream role a lot faster than they would do it on their own. Okay. So that is what coaching does. It gets you to where you want to be a lot faster. So that's why I say that if you can invest in a coach, you don't even have to work with me, but working with coaches, just like professional athletes, right? You look at them, they're at the top of their game, right? But they still need some type of guidance to be able to get better and better and better, right? And that's essentially what investing in yourself does, right? You can do it on your own without investing, but you're going to lack clarity, you're going to lose time, and you're going to be sitting around with no job or trying to figure out what type of business you should do, or, you know, looking in 55 places, and then it takes you like 2 years to even create a business when it can literally take you 3 to 5 days if you have the clarity and the guidance to get there. Also, social media content. A lot of nurses come to me and they're like, "Well, I don't even know how to create content. I don't know where to start a personal brand." But again, this is what I've been doing to help them grow, to learn how to create social media content, how to create, let's say, a newsletter, how to go live, and how to create content that really gives value to other people. Because it takes me hours to create content. And yes, I do use AI in some of the content creation that I do, but a lot of it is, creative, original ideas, past experiences, my personal stories throughout my 20-year journey incorporated in my content. So I highly suggest that you start creating content. Um, and again, you're investing in your growth through time because it takes time to create content. But again, like I said, hiring a coach, a nurse career coach to advance in your career it's a no-brainer, right? You can get to where you want to be faster. And then same thing in business. If you hire a business coach, um, specifically, I help nurses who are at the startup phase, who are not sure how to build their business, or should I do a website? Should I not do a website? What do I do next? Because it can be very overwhelming. So that's the stage of who I help nurses who are thinking about starting a business. And I help nurses who are interested in service based businesses, which is consulting or coaching, and then also helping them build their personal brand, and also how to create content, how to show up as a thought leader on social media, how to get speaking engagements, how to negotiate, what to ask for in terms of payment and that type of stuff, right? So that is all about investing in your growth. Okay? Because you may be watching and you're like, you know what? I don't know if I want to start a business. It sounds overwhelming. And I know it's not for everybody. However, I know a lot of nurses who are struggling, working 2, 3 jobs, right, in different states just to make it. However, think about if you create an ebook or a digital course, or you start speaking on the side, maybe you do one speaking engagement a quarter, whatever that looks like for you, or start a podcast where you start networking, meeting people, and eventually you can get some brand deals if you get really good at it. Whatever it is that you're interested in, just know that you could start monetizing. You can start making money off what you already know. Okay. And I like to talk about money because nurses don't talk about money that much. And it's always like taboo to bring up money in healthcare. But guess what? We need to be able to pay our bills, travel, do whatever it is to support our families. And this is why I'm so passionate about helping new graduate nurses get their jobs quicker so they could be in the right places, in the organizations that will support them, healthy work environments, right? And then to actually get paid what they're worth and not just settle for anything. And then the other aspect of what I'm passionate about is helping nurses who are burnt out, or maybe they're not burnt out, but like maybe you're looking for something new. You're like, I'm tired of like working the 9 to 5. I want something more exciting. And maybe I want to start a podcast, or maybe I want to write a book. Or you know what? I'd love to start speaking on this topic, and maybe traveling to a couple places every 3 months to talk about this and get paid for it, right? There are opportunities out there, right? But you need to start investing in your growth. So I guess as a quick recap, the number one thing that you could do is start investing in your personal brand. So Number one is, I would say, photography. You can do a brand photo shoot and just introduce yourself, whatever it is that you're doing in your career or in your business. Photo shoot, I would say, is number one. If you're interested in being a speaker and you're doing speaking engagements already, please hire a photographer and a videographer to follow you around to get these photos so that you could create your own media kit or use it for social media content for social proof. Okay. So definitely video, photography, and then investing with your time in creating content, right? The other thing that I would highly suggest is to get a nurse career coach, right? You don't need to work with me. However, of course, I'm one of the best. So you definitely want to look into working with me. But again, like I said, I don't work with everyone. So if you're a nursing student or a new grad that's interested in landing your dream role, definitely DM me. I do have a free training tomorrow, a Zoom training for new nurses who are interested in learning how to get hired faster. So DM me if you're interested in that. I will hopefully throw up the advertising for that later today. So I have that going on. If you're a new business owner or aspiring business owner and you're overwhelmed and you're like, I don't know how to create content, I don't know how to do a personal brand, not sure where to start, I actually have a business mastermind at the end of this month, starting July 31st into August 3rd. And it's going to be in Clearwater Beach in person, where it's going to be a full 2-day workshop, a full weekend of meeting other nurse entrepreneurs, learning about business basics from the tiniest detail to like how to go live, how to create a newsletter. And we're going to be implementing that during that weekend. So literally what people take about a year or two to do, we will be doing in that weekend. Okay. So again, that's investing in your business and your growth. That is in Clearwater Beach, July 31st to August 3rd. And again, that's going to be basically a 3-night stay. Food is included, a spa treatment, and a dinner, networking dinner with the open bar. So definitely DM me right away because I only have one ticket left for that. And if you want to work with me and you're interested in starting a business, not really sure, but you can't come to this in-person thing, then I would say just DM me anyway, because I do have a coaching program specifically for nurses interested in starting their business. Okay. What else? I also will be dropping more details about the conference, the Nurses Making Business Moves conference that's going to be happening March of next year. So March 6th and 7th. So mark your calendars. I'm already selling tickets, early bird tickets. So if you're interested in that link to get your conference ticket for next year, again, Nurses Making Business Moves is going to be in Tampa, Florida at the University of Tampa. Venue's already booked. Speakers already secured. I will be announcing the speakers in the next couple weeks. So super exciting. So if you want that link for the early bird to go to the conference, DM me as well. What else is coming up? And I have some exciting news that I hopefully will be releasing tomorrow. And it has to do, well, I don't want to tell you. Just stay tuned. I have more surprises coming up later this week. All right. So I'm going to try to go more live more because like I said, I was on vacation for a short time. So please DM me. I know I said a lot of information. Whatever you're interested in, just direct message me. And yeah, we can talk about how to grow in your career or how to grow in your business. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support. And I will talk to you soon. All right. Take care. Have a great one. Bye.